What do you think you're going to see when you do a Canada-New England cruise in the fall? Colors, leaf change of the season, right? We didn't get that. And we had a few other disappointments on this cruise, but we had some things we really liked about it as well. We're going to get into all that. We're EECC Travels. I'm Elisa.
I'm Jason. And if you guys find this video to be helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really helps us out.
All right, let's dive into this.
Yeah.
First off, let's talk about these leaves. We had a brutal summer. Really brutal summer. Everything got pushed back. So we booked this cruise. It started the last week of September and went into October. And we didn't really see a lot of fall leaves. When we finally got into Canada, we saw a little bit.
Yeah, summer just kind of extended out. I know here at home, we had record-breaking temperatures. There was a heat wave all across the country, and it showed because when we were in Baltimore starting out, we could tell. Usually it's fall. The colors are already starting to pop out, and everybody says, man, it just hadn't been cold yet.
Yeah.
So.
Because we did a New England road trip 2 years ago, and by the time we were on this cruise, there was definitely the fall leaves in New England.
Yeah.
So every year is different. Just know that going into one of these cruises, if you're planning it way in advance, if you book in September, you might not see the leaves. And that's something that was just a little bit of a disappointment to us because it's kind of what you wanted to see on a fall New England cruise, right?
Absolutely.
So that was not great, but
I kind of knew we weren't going to see that many leaves because of how hot it's been.
Right.
I kind of expected it, but still disappointing because, when you're on the cruise ships, cruising into the ports, getting that first kind of pop of scenery and the beautiful colors of fall kind of sets the tone.
Yep. Okay, so that was our main big disappointment for this cruise. We have another one, we'll get into that one. But first, let me just kind of take a break and tell you the different types of cruises you can do for New England and Canada. You can do a 7-day round trip cruise. These are going to be on the slightly larger cruise ships. They're going to port from New York or Boston, somewhere in that vicinity, and you're going to go, up into Nova Scotia and then back into New England. What we chose to do was a little bit of a longer cruise. It was a one-way cruise. It started in Baltimore. We went up New England into Canada, but instead of turning back around, we kept on going. So we were able to go to Prince Edward Island and Quebec and ending in Quebec City. So doing the longer cruises, you definitely get more ports that way.
Yeah.
So that's the two different types of cruises. Let's break down this particular cruise for you. So we started off in Baltimore. What did you think about Baltimore?
I liked Baltimore pretty good. It was not my favorite city by any stretch, but it was nice. It's always nice to see a city for the first time. I really liked right there at the Inner Harbor. Mm-hmm. One of the best Indian restaurants I've ever ate at. It's called I think it was Harbor Tandoor. It's an Indian restaurant right there at the Inner Harbor. Absolutely beautiful. If you stay right around in there, it's very nice. We went to the market. I forget the name of the market even, but we walked several blocks, probably about a 30-minute walk to the market. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, things got kind of sketchy. So be careful walking around in the area. We're from a small town where, there's no city blocks. So we just always think that all the city blocks are created equal. Well, 2 city blocks could be a whole different situation. And we found ourselves in those situations that was really sketchy and kind of scary. So don't want you to make those mistakes. As much as we travel, you'd think we would know that, but you get going, right? And you got a mission and you're on your way, and sometimes you put that out of your mind. But that was a wake-up call for us.
It was. Well, every city's different, and we've walked around cities so many times and never run into an area we felt uncomfortable in.
We were getting some pretty bad looks.
We were.
There for a minute, I thought I was going to have to take on several people. And I'm like, holy cow, so this is not going to be easy, basically,
Let's get out
is what
of
I was
here.
thinking. I was like, Elisa, let's turn around. She's like, no, we're going to go to this market. We're going to this market. And I'm like, you were crazy.
And then we didn't even like the market.
And the market was terrible. Oh my gosh. Don't go to the market there.
But the harbor area was really awesome.
Yeah,
we liked that.
We saw the Ravens Stadium and the
Orioles Stadium.
The Orioles Stadium. And we stopped off at, do you remember the name of the little pub we went to?
I don't, but it was right across from the Orioles Stadium.
You know, so there are some really great areas. We had a good little stay there. Yeah.
I'd definitely go back. We just know what not to do now. And we found the area that we like. We stayed in Little Italy, and we really liked that area as well.
Yeah, real charming old Italian restaurants, old buildings. So there are some neighborhoods that are fantastic, but just stay away from walking that complete area. You'll find yourself some rough spots.
So leaving Baltimore, our first port stop was supposed to be Martha's Vineyard, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, this was an interesting cruise. Crazy things happen.
An understatement.
Yeah, we'll get to it here in a second, but we got caught in Tropical Storm Ophelia.
Yes.
Which, if you haven't seen that video, we got a video of the storm. Make sure to check that video out as well.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, the storm it was a tropical storm, not a hurricane, so it had downgraded. So the cruise ship didn't feel like it needed to, go out of its way to get away from the storm, which they will do if it's a very severe storm. So we just kind of rode it out. Very rainy, very windy. Some people got seasick. We did not, luckily. But it was definitely an interesting experience, and we missed our first port. So, these cruises are going to happen at the tail end of hurricane season, so that's just something to keep in mind as well, that it is a possibility. And this has been a crazy hurricane season.
Yeah, and honestly, I find the storms to be a little exciting.
It was.
I know some people think that's crazy, but seeing the rain come in sideways, all the hot tubs on the Lido deck were completely empty. Nobody was on it. So I was like, oh, here's my opportunity to get a hot tub by myself. And we're already going to be wet anyway. So I went out there, enjoyed a hot tub, made it fun. And just seeing everybody's reactions to it, everybody's looking out the windows. It's kind of an exciting atmosphere. I've always enjoyed watching the storms, as long as it doesn't get too crazy and too scary.
This one here wanted to be a storm chaser at one point, so he really enjoyed it.
Yeah, one day I'm going to chase me a storm. But this case, the storm was chasing us.
It was. Luckily, we were moving slower than the storm did, so it kind of went on past us. Once it got dark, the storm started dissipating, and it was okay the next day.
So the swells got up about 10 feet. Nothing too crazy. The ship was rocking, but not too bad. Like Elisa said, we don't get seasick, so it was cool. You could go to the aft where there was some dining out there and some tables and stuff, and the rain was coming in. It was puddling all over the place. It really came a downpour. So that was kind of cool and exciting, unexpected.
Yeah. I hate that we missed Martha's Vineyard, because that was one of the ports I was really excited about, and the only port in the U.S. that we hadn't been to yet, other than Baltimore, but one day we'll have to go back.
Yeah.
And the next day we were in Boston, and the rain was still holding on just a little bit in Boston. It was a little drizzly, but other than that, Boston rocks.
Boston rocks. We love Boston. Met with one of our wonderful friends, Marilyn. She's a local there. She brought us around to so many cool places and gave us some history of the city, and we just had an awesome time there. Boston, there's so much to do. It's just having a few hours there. You can't even touch the surface, but so you hit the ground running, do as much as you can, because there's never a dull moment in Boston.
Right.
I love that city. That was the second time we've been there. Can't wait to go back.
Yep. So keep in mind, if you're doing this cruise and you're going to port in Boston, the port is kind of far away from everything. So just get an Uber or a taxi, go in. A good drop-off point is Quincy Market.
Minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
About 10, 12 minutes, something like that. A good drop-off point is Quincy Market. It's right in the center of everything. That's where we got dropped off.
Super busy there, though.
It is.
Very busy, but if you haven't been there, you got to go check it out. So much good food.
Quincy Market's awesome.
Get some great lobster rolls there. Great pizza. I mean, just food from all kind of cultures, all kind of countries, and I mean, it's a market.
Yeah.
You gotta love markets.
And it's an old market. It's historical, but you've got the modern twist to it too. It's all the stalls are modern, and
then off the sides, either side. They got like all kind of like vendors that are crafts people that got all these awesome crafts, like candles made out of whiskey bottles and lamps made out of whiskey bottles and all these things you don't see typically.
Yep. And we were able to stay in Boston until 8 p.m. So it was really cool to have that sail away at night and see the lights of the city. We liked that.
Yeah, that's always nice. Something different.
Yep. And the next day we were in Portland, Maine. And of course, we were going for the Lobster, right?
Portland also rocks.
Or how do you say lobster?
Lobster.
So we've got our favorite little restaurant right on the harbor called Porthole. We've been to it before. We went back. Lobster doesn't get much fresher than that.
Yeah, we have some people that are there that say there's better. Of course, there's always better, but we just like the location of that one. The atmosphere is great, and the lobster is good. Have we had better lobster rolls? You betcha.
Well, we're going to get into that in a second.
Yeah, betcha.
But
great place to go. If you haven't been, go check it out. It's a fun place.
And Portland is a city that you can just walk very easily. Now, this one, you are porting in downtown. Mm-hmm. So you walk off the cruise ship and you're there. There's no transportation needed, which is really nice. Yeah. And we were in Portland a long time. We were almost pier runners. We were one of 13 last people back on the ship, they told us.
Yeah.
We like the city.
We were just having so much darn fun.
Yep.
We even walked felt like locals there for a little bit. Lisa was having some kind of sniffle or something, and we went to the pharmacy, so we got to see the local pharmacy and wait and get our medicine. And we went to some local pubs and we had some delicious food there. Oh, and then across from the porthole, when in Portland, you got to go check out like a fresh fish market. They have a really cool fish market right over there.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So be prepared for the smell. It's fishy, but it's so cool to go in there and see those fresh catches.
Yeah. Really awesome.
Okay, so after Portland, we're back on board and we're heading into Canada. Our first stop was Sydney, Nova Scotia. We did not get off the ship in this port because I had to work. So, that's part of what we do is we work on the road. That was just one of those days where we had to skip the port. It was rainy that day anyway, so we were okay staying on board. So we don't have anything to report for Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, we were kind of winded anyway. It was like, whew, nice little break.
Yeah. When you have an 11-day cruise, sometimes taking a little break and just relaxing is nice.
Hit your pace.
Yep. After that, we were in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and I loved this place.
Charming little town.
It is. Prince Edward Island is the smallest province of Canada. It's literally just one island. And you dock in Charlottetown, which is the biggest city. And again, it's walkable. You just get off the ship and everything.
That's when I first started noticing the colors to change. Just, in little small spurts here and there. Yeah, small portions. But we were starting to see some color on the trees, and so we were excited about that. This port is interesting because it's small, little area, but there's plenty to do. There's a beautiful park there with a boardwalk that goes all the way around it. Mm-hmm. You got some great breweries there. So if you like craft beer, great little spot, plenty of shopping. That is also where we had one of our favorite lobster rolls today. So up until this point, we had only had New England lobsters. Now we're having Canada or Canadian lobsters. And that lobster roll that we had in Prince Edward Island was the best we've ever had. Right there in port. Oh, yep, right there in port.
So good.
Get off the ship, go left, walk about a little bit, maybe, a block or two.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the place?
I think it's called Dave's Lobster, if I'm correct.
Well, you can check out the video and use that as reference, but my goodness, we got a half and half.
Yes, half cold, half warm, and we split each of those, so we both had the experience of the cold lobster roll and the warm lobster roll, and I can't tell you which was better. They were both delicious.
I kind of remember, at first I was liking the cold, because I think that's just what I was used to, but it had just the right amount of sauce, mayo, whatever it is in there. It was just delicious, great balance. And then I was liking that one first, and then I ate the hot one, and I'm like, no, I'm still like the cold one first, but then the more I ate the hot one, the more I liked the hot one. Mm-hmm. Something different that you didn't get a lot of, but my gosh, that was definitely my favorite lobster roll.
It was, yes, hands down.
That would be the thing that I would look forward to the most if I went back there.
Yep. And we had another great food experience in Charlottetown with the poutine.
Oh, yeah. We did it all for the poutines. Man, y'all, poutines will put you in a serious food coma.
Oh my God, yes. So we went to Hunter's Ale House.
Great place. Definitely go if you're there.
Yeah, a local recommended it to us. And looking at the poutine menu, there's a small and a large. I'm like, oh, we'll each get a small. And that way we can share those. The small was ginormous.
Yeah, humongous. And you get some great local beer there as well. So I got a couple of beers. She got her a cider. And I think she really enjoyed that.
Good.
And those poutines were fantastic with the cheese curds, and the gravy was real rich. They had so many different kinds of cheese curds. They had so many different kinds of poutines. Like they had like a Thanksgiving day kind of poutine with like cranberry sauce and turkey. They had beef pot pie, chicken pot pie poutines, all these elaborate poutines, man.
Yeah,
they were good. The fries were so huge and beefy.
I'd go back there in a heartbeat.
Gosh.
So we ate a lot in Charlottetown, but we walked a lot. I think by the end of the day, we had each put in almost 20,000 steps because...
Yeah, I ate about 18,000 calories.
Balance. It's all about balance,
Drank
right?
about 20,000 calories. Yeah. We better be walking.
Yeah. So we really enjoyed this port. We're going to give that one a big check mark. Yeah. From there, we go we had a sea day, and then we go into Quebec, the province of Quebec. And here we have 3 ports. We have Baie-Comeau, we have Saguenay, and then our last ending port is Quebec City. And here's where a little disappointment kicks in. When we hit Baie-Comeau...
A little?
We hit Baie-Comeau, and there's just absolutely nothing to do in Baie-Comeau. I mean nothing. Nothing.
Boo.
If you did not book an excursion, and I think even those that booked an excursion, there wasn't a lot to choose from. You're porting in a very industrial port, and there is a shuttle that'll take you into town. Well, that's $20 a person round trip. We're like, okay, fine.
And that took 10 minutes.
Yeah. And we get there, and they drop you off in the downtown area, and you're like, okay, let's walk.
It's one street, you'll notice. It's one street. And then we got out, we walked, and the first thing was a coffee shop.
Thank God for that coffee shop.
Nice little local coffee shop. So there was hope. We were like, okay, this looks legit. Let's go in there, grab some coffee, and get this, thing started. And then we walked up around the corner after we got our coffee, and there was nothing there. And we kept seeing people walking back already that just got there, and they were like, there's nothing that way. Right. Don't waste your time, guys. I'm like, there's not a brewery or nothing? Nope. I mean, there's some pretty houses.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, so we were like, okay. So we walked around. Then there was a church. We went and looked at a beautiful church. It cost $7 to go in. We did not do that.
Yeah, because we were, at that point, we were just kind of disenchanted.
Man, we just really had higher expectations.
Yeah.
So it was a huge disappointment, honestly.
Yeah, I was hoping, when ports are chosen, they're chosen, for things to do there. And I don't feel that you should have to book an excursion to enjoy a port. And up until this point, Boston was great, no excursion. Portland was great, no excursion. Charlottetown, no excursion. So we're not big excursion people. We like to just get out and explore the town, the port, the culture.
The way we like to explore,
yeah.
And every now and then we'll sprinkle one in, but yeah, that was so disappointing.
Yeah. So needless to say, we got back on the ship pretty early that day.
Yeah. You can walk there, by the way, and walk back, but it's probably a 15-minute walk.
Oh, I think it's more than that. I think they said it's more like a 30-minute walk.
I don't know.
It's pretty long.
I was getting different things from different people. Some people were saying 15 minutes. Some people were saying 10 minutes. I guess some of them people were made mall walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're trucking it, you can probably do it in 15. Okay, so the next port was Saguenay, and we had high hopes for this one. We had talked to some local Canadians on board that said this is a beautiful port when you're driving in and driving out. There's fjords. They're the biggest fjords in Canada or in North America.
That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
You want to see.
But our ship pulled in before dark, so we got up early.
No, before light.
Before light, sorry. We got up early specifically to see these fjords, and it was dark. You couldn't see anything. Yeah. And we stayed in port all day, and we left after sunset. So we missed this.
The sunset leaving was pretty, but it was just when it set pretty quick.
Yeah, it did. And so you couldn't see the fjords that you were driving through, or not driving, but sailing through.
Now, I did talk to some people that live in Quebec City that were on that cruise, and they said this has been so disappointing to them as well. They've done that cruise several times, and they usually get there earlier and later, and so you can see the fjords, and a lot of times they'll give you the history and the observation decks as you're traveling through them, almost like when you're going when you're on an Alaskan cruise going into the Inside Passage. She said it's just like that, and they've had so many better experiences.
Yeah, we were really bummed about that because we had such high expectations for this port. So really, we should have come in later, left earlier, because there wasn't a lot to do in Saguenay either.
100%.
It was a very cute town. We enjoyed walking around. We found a great little restaurant.
Yeah, it looks cool when you pull up. You're like, oh, okay, this is all right. There's some stuff we can do here. There's a little brewery right there. It's a new building. You can tell they built that right there just for the port. Thank goodness.
It was good food,
if
too.
it wasn't for that, there would be nothing to do. Yeah, wonky layout. We were sitting at a table right next to a stage, and there was like this little aisle between our table and the stage, and then right on the other side of the stage was a set of steps that you could go up, and there was some bathrooms up there and a terrace, and people were trying to get over that stage and go up them stairs, and man, one after the other. I'm sitting there trying to eat my chicken wings, and like, bam! Oh, there's another one falling. We were helping people up left and right. Should have filmed that. My goodness.
Yeah, you could tell that it was a restaurant that wasn't, because there were 2 ships in port that day, because it was us with about 2,000 passengers, and then a Princess ship with about 3,000
passengers. They loaded
passengers.
the tables in to fill it. And then there's one, we were at the first one, and then right up the hills at whole nother, it's the same company or same restaurant, but just different building, which was interesting. Which that one looked way better than the one we were at, by the way. Go the second one up the hill. It looks way cooler.
But the food was really good. We did enjoy the food there.
Yeah, there was good food.
Yeah.
And great beer as well. Yeah, got some good IPAs there, some local stuff. But yeah, we just walked around. It was a beautiful day. Took our picture in front of the I Love Saguenay.
Yes.
And, we walked about. We ran into like a little crafts walk.
Yeah, that was neat. We didn't buy anything there.
A little car museum. And we talked to the guy about all his old classic cars, which was a really nice little stop in. Yeah, I enjoyed that little part of it. Just talking to some of the locals was interesting, and just kind of getting their way of life and what it's like over there was neat. But other than that, it sucked.
Well, after the fact, when we posted the video on Saguenay, a couple people said that there is a bus that will take you to another place. Well, we didn't know that. It didn't, the ship didn't tell us that. There was no information.
Well, a lot of people won't know that until now because we just told you.
Right. So if you're going to Saguenay and you don't want to book an excursion or all excursions are sold out, find out about that shuttle bus, because if we would have known that, then we would have had more, because we were there all day. We had plenty of time. We could have gone into a different part of town.
And right there in Port 2, they do have one helicopter.
Yeah.
And it was lifting off and coming back down like nobody's business. But I think they fly around and show you all the fjords and all that. So there's that. I don't know what the prices were on that, but I noticed that there was just one helicopter. So that's a little scary within itself.
And there's small boat tours where you can go out to the fjords, but they were all sold out, so we didn't get to do that either.
We can't move on without talking about our tender boat accident.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you tell that story.
Oh, yeah. So it's a tender port, and we tendered in on tender boat number 16, and the tide was very, very low.
Very low.
But our tender boat captain went really wide for some reason. There was absolutely no boat traffic at all. He went super wide, and all of a sudden, we beached that baby. And man, he was like, what do I do now? Finally, after about 10 minutes or so of him radioing back and forth to the ship, they were like, man, just, turn your rudder, give it some throttle, back and forth, reverse it, go forward. And then finally we broke loose and made it in. But we broke loose, went on in a little bit, and then we beached it again for a second.
Yeah.
And then he wiggled his way off of that, and finally we got docked. But that was interesting as all get out.
Yeah. We were
he
nervous
did some
to get
damage
back on
to
the tender.
that thing. He did some damage to that thing, I know for sure.
Yep. We were very happy to be off that tender boat because, and these are not the big tender boats that, when you go to the Caribbean, each port has these massive tender boats. No, these are the lifeboats that we're using as tender boats to get on shore.
Again, kind of like Tropical Storm Ophelia. It was exciting though.
Interesting cruise.
Some people were like, I gotta go to the bathroom. How's that gonna work?
You're not.
But other Saguenay?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
I think so. Saguenay.
It's not very good.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It just, as a port, there just wasn't a lot to do there. So what we've learned is, and like, we're just not excursion people, but there's some ports that you need excursions.
Oh, you know what else was cool there? There was a princess ship there. And like I said, the tide was really low. And so you could walk out on the beach and it looked like the ship was literally like just 50 feet out in the water from the beach. It looked like it was beached. I've never walked up so close to a ship on land.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So there was a lot of people out there enjoying that. So that was fun. I mean, really, and a lot of the locals were out just sitting, looking at all the ships and just basking in the sun. You know, it was a chill vibe.
So let's talk about the ship itself. So we were on Norwegian Sky,
Great little
which
ship.
is, there's the two smallest ships in the Norwegian fleet is the Sun and the Sky. And we loved it. I loved this ship.
Refurbished just about a year ago. And I mean, it felt great, felt new, clean. One thing about these smaller ships is that you get to know the bartenders, you get to know the servers at the restaurants. I mean, the service is great. They seem happier. You know, I just love the small ships. There's less venues, but the venues are bigger and more spread out, so you always have room, like when you're doing karaoke. You know, not everybody's just cram-packed in there like sardines. I just love the smaller ships.
Yeah, and we talked to a lot of crew, and they prefer the smaller ships as well because there's less passengers, and
they're so much
they feel
happier.
more comfortable. Like, we made friends, or Jason definitely made friends with the band that played every night in Bliss.
They were fun.
And they were such nice people, and they do long contracts with Norwegian, and they are dedicated to the Sky because they love that ship.
You know, would you rather, if you were a bartender or server, would you rather wait on 3,000 people or 7,000 people?
Well, even better, the Sky only holds 2,000 people.
Because I've been on both size ships, and there's always the same amount of bartenders.
That is so true.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3. Whether it's a small ship or a big ship. Yeah, just something to think about.
Yeah. I know a lot of people choose their cruise and pick the ship for all the bells and whistles that it has.
Yeah.
And that's great sometimes.
Right.
But if you're wanting that more
sure.
laid back cruise experience, go for a smaller ship.
No, but you make a great point there. Some people just don't care about, you know, sitting in a bar or going to karaoke and things that we enjoy to do. That they like the water slides and things like that. So, you know, teach their own for sure.
Well, once we made it to Quebec, we talked to some people that were on another ship that was much larger and held about 4,500 people, and they were saying how crowded it was. That
they were glad to be off of it. She said, she was like, "I'm so glad to be off that thing."
Yeah,
I'm like, I feel that.
Try the small ship experience. You might like it.
Don't let the secret out, because we don't want to pack those out. Quebec City.
Oh, love Quebec
Man, that was
City.
the exclamation point.
It was.
For sure. It's worth doing that just to go to Quebec City.
It is. So that's what I was going to say.
Old Quebec City is where it's at.
So if you have the time to do the longer cruise that includes Quebec City, do it and make sure you have at least 2 days there.
Yeah. If you do it in reverse order, you're going to be very disappointed starting out in Quebec City. For sure.
I don't know. Portland and Boston are pretty awesome.
That's right. That's true. You know.
But after you've watched this video, you know what to expect in Saguenay and Baie-Comeau, and you know to prepare for it.
We are giving you the lowdown.
Yes.
The real lowdown.
Yep. And I think I like how we get people, you should have done more research. Why didn't you do more research? And that's why we don't. We like going into this, experiencing what the port has to offer.
To each their own.
Yeah.
You know, we do enough research. Believe me, she does. But you know, there's something magical about just not knowing what lurks around the corner and doing some things very spontaneously. That's when we always have just the best time.
Yeah.
And you know, getting to know the culture and the locals in the area. I mean, you just pop in and you go to different places in the shops and talk to the locals and ask them questions, and they'll tell you what you need to do. But you know, like cruising, it's all about just getting a taste of that area, and you can decide whether you want to come back and visit it further and longer, you know. But Quebec City was awesome. It was just old, you know, and so much to do. Tons of food. I mean, I loved, what was it, the Champlain?
Oh, Petite
Champlain areas.
Amazing.
Little narrow cobblestone streets.
Pedestrian.
It's all pedestrian, and you have just restaurants and bars and shops galore.
And unique shops, too. It's not just like things that you're going to find anywhere. Like, I go to fudge shops all over the place. But the Fudgery, had sausage fudge. And it wasn't sausage, but it was fudge cased like sausage, which is kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? It did look weird, but it was genius because it is like fudge to go. So I was able to throw that in my bag, my suitcase, take it on the airplane. Loved it, and it was really good too when I got home.
Yeah, it looked like a whole nother kind of poop emoji. Honestly, it looked like a chocolate hot dog. You know. Anyway, that was really a nice visit. They have that little boardwalk there.
We stayed right in the heart of the old part.
When you walk into like the shops and the bars, the pubs, they're so different, old, and they just feel so different than what you've ever been in before, and so it's really neat vibe.
Well, a lot of the buildings are dating back to the 1600s, so that's some of the oldest buildings in North America. And
you know, it's fall, and so it's October, and they had pumpkins all lining the street, skeletons, and fall was starting to get in the air finally, and it was just a really nice time.
And Quebec City goes all out for decorations, and we've been told it's beautiful at Christmas too, but being there in October, you know, everywhere you turn, you'd have these little corners that were decorated in fall, and then right in the center of town, these massive Halloween decorations. It was just amazing. Loved it.
I ate at a restaurant there. It was real delicious. Had some gourmet pizza. It was can't remember the name of it now.
It was Bistro 1640.
Okay, yeah. She's better at remembering all those things. We go to so many, I can't remember them all. But holy cow, it was really good.
Massive line to get in, but it was worth it.
Oh yeah, they had some great pizza, delicious, like huge gourmet hamburgers. And then the next day, before we left, we went and had breakfast at, what was it?
La Bouche.
That was good.
So good. Again, if you see a line to get in somewhere, it's probably worth it.
Can you tell we like to eat?
Yes, we're foodies.
But wonderful experience there.
Would you do another Canada-New England cruise? Would you recommend it?
Ah, man. I would do another one just to see if it was different. Like if, you know, with going to Martha's Vineyard, I'd like to go see that. I wouldn't mind going back to Boston again. Man, I can't get sick of Boston. Baltimore's okay. I could do without that. Saguenay, I could do without that. But yeah, I think I would try it again. So, you know, maybe we could get the fjords this time, going into Saguenay.
Or try just a different itinerary too that has different ports.
Yeah, and you know, definitely would do some more excursions on this because there's just not a lot to do freestyling.
So my recommendation is, if you're thinking about a Canada New England cruise, is if you can do the longer cruise, do it. Do your research on the excursions and go in October, not September, if you can, because you're definitely going to get more fall foliage. I always say that wrong.
Foliage. It don't matter.
I always say that word wrong.
Who cares?
You're going to get more fall leaves in October than you will in September, even if, you know, you have a brutal summer like we did this year. So
yeah, but all in all, you know, it was a cruise and it's not bad. You know, it was some parts of it were very disappointing. We just had higher expectations. You know, would I do it again? I think I would.
Well, leave a comment down below. Let us know if you've done a Canada New England cruise, and if you have, what is your favorite port? And what is your favorite thing to do in port? And if you have one coming up, let us know what ship you're sailing on. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, hope this helps. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.